Welcome back to another low buy update. I just spit everywhere. It's been a while since I have uploaded a video. I think at this point it's been about 3 weeks, if not a month. I had been kind of stressed out because in April, my boyfriend and I got some news about our jobs. We didn't lose our jobs, but some changes were going on, and I now have more inconsistent hours, and I was already part-time to begin with. I've also been kind of in a creative rut, I guess, and I haven't had motivation to create anything, videos or sew, and have very little motivation. And so it's taken me a little bit to make this video. This is my second time recording it, but it is now May 11th, and I've already made some purchases this month. But for now, we're just going to talk about April. First item that was on my April wish list was a green top. I've been trying to add a little more color to my clothing, still sticking with the earth tones, and I really like the color green, so I wanted to just get a green top that's kind of suitable for warmer weather since we are in spring now. I didn't really have a specific one that I had in mind, but I thought I would just keep my eye out on Depop or something for it. The next item on my April wish list was hair dye and bleach. I wanted to do this to my hair, pretty much, and as you can see, I did it. Well, my boyfriend's mom did it for me, and she so kindly paid for the supplies to do it, so yeah, that was really nice of her. Next, I have ear piercings. I've never had my ears pierced before, but I am really interested in being able to, have like really unique earrings in my ears. I've never, had them before, so I don't really know what it's like, but it looks neat. Then I also have a fake septum ring on here. I think septum rings look really cool, but I didn't want to get another nose piercing since I already have this one. So I was considering getting a fake one that I can, just put right here like a normal septum ring. Those last three items that I mentioned, I put asterisks next to them. That was how I was designating the items that I consider to be more higher priorities on my wish list. I had a bike on there. I didn't really have a specific one in mind, and I don't know much about bikes, but it is spring now, and I would really like to have a bike again. I haven't had one since I was a kid. I think it would really benefit me taking up a new hobby like that, and it would maybe help pull me out of my creative rut. And I also just want to get outside more. I've just been really wanting to be outside as of late. I think my lack of motivation has led me to just sit around inside a lot, and I was already doing that a lot before, but yeah, I really have recently felt like the intense need to go outside. Oh my goodness. I don't know, I start feeling really physically bad whenever I really need to spend some time outside and not like scrolling on social media or laying in bed. And I think having a bike and being able to ride it would really help me out. I also have a desk on there. There's nothing necessarily wrong with the desk that I have right now. It definitely could be better. It is broken in one place. It's definitely still usable as a desk though. I really wanted to get one that was more of like a dark brown wood, because that's what the rest of my furniture is, and my desk that I have right now is black. I've had it for quite a few years. I've also been thinking about buying some wood to make my own desk, but I don't know about that yet. I don't even own the tools to do that, so that would just be a whole thing that I would have to invest in. But I don't know if building my own desk would be cheaper than just buying one that has already been made. I don't know. I also have a pair of glasses on here because at the time I wanted to buy a pair of glasses that were kind of colorful, I guess. You know, I was really looking at some green glasses because I've been not so much liking my main glasses, I guess. They're like black aviator frames. I had recently gotten new lenses for them at the beginning of the year, which cost a lot more than I thought it would, and so I really wanted to get a new pair of frames, but I kind of felt bad about even wanting it because I had already spent money on my other pair of glasses. But about a year ago, I ordered these that I'm wearing right now on iBuy Direct, and they got here and they were too small for my head, and I tried to wear them, but they would like give me headaches, and I kept trying to adjust the sides where the earpiece is, but I couldn't figure it out. And I would like periodically try over and over again to adjust them, but I could never get it to fit my head. Until this year, I finally adjusted them to where they fit my head perfectly and they don't cause me to get headaches at all. So honestly, I don't need that on my wish list anymore. I'm perfectly fine with these glasses, and I really like the design of them. They're gold, and they're almost like a cat eye shape, but not as intense. And they also have like a cutout near the edge of the frames, which I think is a pretty unique design, and I really like these glasses. The only thing I wish that I had in them was blue light blocking. I do have that in my other lenses and my other glasses. I also have a camera lens on here. Forever on my wish list, I guess. Oh god, I don't know. Still haven't made a decision on what camera I want. I honestly haven't researched it at all last month. It's just very overwhelming to see all these different kinds of cameras that I could buy, but all of them cost at least $1,000, and it's very intimidating to spend your money on something like that and you not even be 100% sure if you'll like it when it gets to you. And so I get so stressed out when I look at cameras because, like I said, they cost so much money, and I just don't want to make the wrong decision and buy one that I end up not liking, or one that ends up, I don't know, not being what I had hoped it would be later on in the future. As for the lens, I still am really interested in the Sigma art lenses, probably the 35mm one, but still haven't bought that either because it's also really expensive. Frankly, I don't need to buy either of those. My camera works fine, and I have 3 lenses right now. I had said in a I think not my last low buy update, but the one before that maybe, that I was gonna start designating priority items on my wish list to help me prioritize more. And while I don't think that was a bad idea, I don't know that it has actually helped me because my priorities changed from when I initially write down my wish list to the end of the month. And so I'm not going to be separating my priority items anymore. They're just all going to be on my wish list. None of them are going to be, considered priorities because they may no longer be priorities to me later on in the month. So that's it for my April wish list. Let's see what I actually ended up buying in April. First week of April, I paid for an oil change for my car. I knew that my oil change was coming up. Frankly, it was kind of overdue. So I did that first week of April. And also in that same week, I bought some purple shampoo for the blonde bits of my hair. And I also bought, what's it called? Hair dye. I bought some hair dye, like this lavender color. Honestly, that's not the color that I wanted to buy, but I was feeling risky and impulsive, so I just bought the purple one. And as you can see, I haven't used it. and I don't think that I will, but I'm pretty sure that I've missed the return window for that hair dye, so it's just sitting in my bathroom completely unused. I mean, it wasn't that much money. I think it was about $10, so it's not so bad, but still not happy that I ended up impulsively choosing that color, and I just wish that I would have waited until I was ready to try a color on my blonde bits, but I didn't, and I'm not even sure that I want to anymore. Week 2, I bought 2 plants, 2 pots, and a bag of potting soil. I don't know how to categorize these purchases. I don't know if I should lump it all together as one item like I would do if I were to buy yarn for crochet, but I guess for right now I'll just consider those to be 3 separate purchases. I don't know what to do if I buy multiple of the same item, because obviously with here I didn't have to buy 2 plants, but if I'm working on a crochet project, then I have to buy the amount of yarn that I need to make that project, and I wouldn't want like 3 skeins of yarn to take up 3 purchases. I would just lump them all together, but I don't know how I can apply that to other items, if I can at all. So I would really appreciate it if you maybe suggested some ways that I could approach this where I buy multiple of the same item. Like, if I buy 2 plants, should I count it as 2 items or just 1? For now, I will count the 2 plants, 2 pots, and the potting soil as 3 separate items. So that's what I first bought in the second week of April. I originally just went to buy some potting soil and 1 pot for a plant that I had propagated. And of course, I ended up browsing while I was out, and you know me, I just buy new plants instead of just propagating the ones that I already have, and that's what I did. My second purchase in week 2 of April was this blouse called, I don't know how to say this name, Palermo blouse, but it's by this little Canadian brand called Bruised Peach Shop. They're on Instagram, and they do all their stuff made to order, and it's just one person running the whole thing. And so I bought a top from them in the second week. I ordered it in a brown gingham fabric. I haven't gotten it yet, but I will be sure to wear it in my next update video. Week 3 of April, I ended up needing to replace one of my tires, so didn't want to do that, but I did it. And that was a sore reminder of how expensive a single tire is. Not an enjoyable purchase, but it was one that I had to make. I also bought a swimsuit. I had one already from H&M that I bought a couple of years ago, but I was just really uncomfortable with the way that it fit me, and I didn't want to make myself wear it anymore. I bought one from a fast fashion company. It's currently a 1-piece, and I'm going to try to alter it and make it into a 2-piece bathing suit, because I'm not a huge fan of 1-piece bathing suits. I originally wanted to buy one from this sustainable swim brand called USwim, and I had been looking at their bathing suits for over a year. As with most sustainable brands, their stuff price-wise isn't very affordable, and I understand why it isn't. While I absolutely respect what they're doing and love what they're doing, it was just a little bit too expensive for me to justify buying something that I would only wear a few times a year. So I decided not to buy a USwim bathing suit and just bought one from a fast fashion company. I do really like the way that USwim makes their bathing suits, but I, for now, I'm gonna just have to go with a more affordable option. I do like the color of this one. It is like a very rich forest green, and I do love green. And I do love earthy tones. Can't forget that. The last week of April, I ended up buying tickets to 2 separate movies that me and my boyfriend and our friend went to. I was really hesitant about going to the movie theater because of the virus. When you are purchasing your tickets, you're able to reserve your seating, and while doing that, you can also see what other seats have already been taken, where other people are sitting, and fortunately, there was almost no one in the theater at all. The theater that we were in, where we watched the movie, there were maximum 10 people in there, and we were all way more than 6 feet apart, wearing our masks the whole time, and so I felt safe enough to be able to be there. I watched the new Demon Slayer movie. Definitely recommend if you are able to go watch it. If you do, wear your mask, social distance, and stay safe. That's actually all that I bought in the week of April, and in total, let's see how many items I bought. So I bought 11 items. That's not 6. As I had told you guys that I would try to do in the last update video, and had told myself that I would try to do. Honestly, I don't feel bad for the purchases that I made in April. I think all of them were pretty reasonable and well thought out. I mean, 2 of them were ones that I literally had to make. I had to get an oil change and I had to replace my tire. I think that if it were not for the fact that I had so much stress going on with my job and so much uncertainty, I think that I would have made a lot more purchases. Honestly, whenever I get stressed out, it starts affecting more areas of my life too, and so whenever I get stressed out, I have a tendency to start feeling worse about myself somehow, and then I want to temporarily resolve that through like retail therapy, and I would have done that if it were not for the uncertainty of my income. While everything has settled down now and my boyfriend and I are not in ideal situations with our jobs, our income is still pretty stable. My hours are more inconsistent, though I do have the opportunity to sometimes pick up hours, but I think the stress from that also contributed to the rut that I'm in right now. I mean, I feel better about the situation, but I still don't feel very motivated at all, and I don't feel creative. I want to create things, but I also just kind of feel like anything that I could create would not be good enough, and I would make too many mistakes, and it just would be, I guess, a waste of time. I don't know, I know that that's not true, and I shouldn't be afraid of making mistakes. The whole thing that happened with the youth swim bathing suit and, my determination that I just needed to buy a more affordable one that was a fast fashion bathing suit, led me to kind of come to terms with my financial situation. Over at least the last couple of months, I haven't been able to contribute much of anything to my savings. That's not because I haven't made enough money. It's just because I'm not strict enough about my budget, and I have a budget, but it's a vague budget, I guess, and not one that I keep a close eye on. While I absolutely pay my bills and everything, my budget for groceries is very loose. My budget for unnecessary purchases like clothing and other items on my wish list, that's very loose. And because of that, I have not been able to save very much, and I haven't adjusted my budget to a part-time income. But everything that happened with the bathing suit and everything, it made me realize that I can't keep spending so much money on clothing, and I don't think that I spend a ridiculous amount of money on clothing, but I know that I spend more than I should on clothing, and it made me realize that if I want to be able to keep buying clothing, it made me realize that I need to start looking for more affordable options when it comes to buying things, especially clothing, because I had a tendency to prioritize clothing more than my other interests and goals. Like before, especially when I had a full-time job, I was completely okay with spending $50 twice a month or more on clothing. And that's just not something that I can continue doing. If I want to buy a piece of clothing that is, I don't know, let's say $100, then that has to be the only piece of clothing I buy that month, unless I, suddenly am able to afford more than that. Almost every single piece of clothing I own is secondhand, and while I'm definitely still gonna keep buying clothing secondhand and buy new clothing as little as possible, and definitely avoid fast fashion stores as much as I can. I also need to be honest with myself about my financial situation and acknowledge that my priorities are still out of whack, even though that's one of the things that I wanted to work on with this low buy. I way too often prioritize buying a sustainably made piece of clothing or something that's very expensive on Depop over my long-term goals. Get stressed out that I'm not working toward my goals, but I'm doing it to myself, and no one is making that decision except me. No one can fix it except me. No one can change the situation except me. It is sometimes really hard to manage your finances if you are not very educated on finances and don't understand the complicated aspects of it. And I'm not one of those people. And sometimes I don't know what is the best way to handle my finances. I mean, I could be doing stuff with it, at least some of it, that would benefit me financially, but I just don't know enough about that in order to do it. But that's up to me. I have to pursue that education. No one can just give it to me. What I'm going to try to do from now on is just be very, very, very conscious of price when buying clothing, because while I love Depop, and that's where I've gotten most of my clothing, the prices tend to be higher on there than in just actual in-person thrift stores. And the couple of local thrift stores that I have around here, they're very affordable, and I want to try going to them more rather than immediately just going to Depop for everything, because there are a lot of Depop sellers that are literally making a living off of their sales on there, and while I think that's a great way to earn income, and I don't have a problem with that. When you're trying to earn a living wage by selling things on Depop, your prices, they just have to be higher. It is what it is, and that just means that sometimes I might have to look elsewhere for something that I can, afford, rather than, buying something on Depop that may be a little bit out of my budget or a lot out of my budget. I think that whenever I started my, sustainable fashion journey, I subconsciously started condemning fast fashion, and there were times when I would still buy it, like if I was buying a pair of shoes or bras or underwear, things like that, things that I rarely ever bought, but it also caused me to not even want to buy fast fashion secondhand. There are so many people that they just don't have any other options for one reason or another. All of that caused me to not even want to buy fast fashion secondhand, but I think that also that doesn't help the situation of extreme excess of clothing that is donated or thrown away. If everybody had the same mindset that I did, wherein fast fashion didn't even deserve to be bought secondhand, then it would not help the issue. It doesn't just disappear if we turn away and ignore it. It's still there, and our resources that have already been created, all the clothing that has already been produced and, just discarded in thrift stores, it needs to be used. We have to use the resources that we have already created before we should start buying new things or producing new things. It's something that I have started to notice within my frustrations with Depop is my struggle to find things on there now. Many times in the last month of April and already in the first few days of May, where I've tried to find things on Depop, specific things, and I've just come up with nothing that I liked, or, something that I liked but wasn't really sure about. I either give up on looking for it for a while, or something that I did kind of like sold, and at that point I just have to accept the fact that it sold. But what I'm trying to get to is whenever I give up on looking for something for a little bit, or just miss out on buying something, I am okay, and I just most of the time end up getting over it, not caring that I didn't buy that thing. Feeling the urge to buy clothing is so fleeting. I don't want to continue getting so stressed out about something that I more than likely won't even care that I don't have. And I also want to try to avoid Depop a little bit, because I think that contributes to my buying problem. I want to have a balance between pursuing my goals, seriously pursuing my goals, because honestly I haven't been seriously pursuing my goals at all. But I also want to acknowledge my needs and wants in the present moment too. And I want to have a balance between my future and present wants and needs. I think for a long time it has way too often been more so on the side of buying clothing and completely neglecting my goals. My experiences matter more to me than my clothing. I have to come to terms with that and be okay with the fact that clothing is not everything. I hope some of that made sense, and I am sorry for rambling, but I've just been doing so much reflecting relating to fashion and my relationship with it. I think I already said most of my reflections, but I'm going to talk about my May wish list really quick, and then I might say a couple more things. First item on here is a pair of shoes. Specifically, I have in mind the Doc Marten 8053 platforms. I'm really interested in those, but they are always sold out, and they're on Depop for like triple the retail price, and I'm not going to buy them that way. I also am looking at some Palladium shoes. The style that I wanted sold out, so I don't really know if shoes are going to happen this month, but we'll see. They're on there. I also have some elastic thread and hook closures on here. I'm really interested in buying those for a sewing project or two. I also have sunscreen on here, ear piercings, a bike, work / painter's pants. Honestly, I'm not even sure about those because I have looked on Depop for them quite a bit and I can't really find anything. I guess I'll keep them on there for now, but so far I've not really had any luck. I also have linen pants on there. I'm a big pants person, and so I would really like to have a pair that wouldn't be so incredibly hot in the summer, and linen is pretty breathable, so I wanted to buy a pair of linen pants. Comfy t-shirt. I am starting to become more open to t-shirts, at least ones in colors that I actually like. I would say a good portion of my clothing is like the puff sleeve sort of style, and while I love those shirts, having almost every single shirt be puff sleeve kind of makes me feel like I wear this same thing all the time, and I do like to have some variety, so I'd like to just introduce a couple more styles to my clothing instead of just, puff sleeves still. Hair clips, because I don't own a single hair clip. I just own a couple of scrunchies, so I would really like to have some nice, durable hair clips. Plants, plants are back on the list. I do have a couple plants in mind that I want. I definitely want some vegetable plants. I want to attempt to have a garden. Tried last year, didn't go so well. But we're just gonna try again this year, maybe. I also have some Pansy Co socks on there. I really like the way that outfits look whenever the socks serve as like a pop of very intense color that contrasts with the rest of the outfit. And I don't have any socks that do that. Kind of interested in trying it out, so I put Pansy Co socks on there. When I had made this wish list, I also included, the camera and lens as per usual, but I think I'm going to take those two off for now just because I don't know what camera I want, and I'm really tired of saying camera and lens every single time I make an update video, so I'm just going to take those two off for now. Yeah, I want them, but honestly, I have no idea when I will feel comfortable enough to buy those two items because they are both pretty expensive, and I'm trying to clean up my finances right now, and I don't think that there is room for a camera or a lens at the moment. So yeah, that's it for my May wish list. My general goals for the month of May is to start trying to balance my finances better and my purchases, my priorities, try to pursue more affordable options in clothing, and understand that clothing is not everything. Yeah, I enjoy it, but my other interests and my goals are just as important, if not more important. I'm just gonna try to buy 8 items next month. I guess we'll see how I do. I'm not upset with how I did in April. I feel pretty at peace with the reflections that I've made, and I can start making better decisions. But in order for me to do that, I have to do it. I have to decide to do it. So, yeah, that's that. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and, like it if you enjoyed it. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!